Today, we're going to talk about courageous choices, courageous conversations. I'm Marion. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a physiotherapist and a few other titled names who has a passion for holistic back pain care. I want to just flag and throw it out there that for some of the people I've seen in stubborn pain cycles, they have kept themselves in those cycles because they have been too scared to have courageous conversations or make courageous choices for themselves. Let me give you an example. Let's talk about Tom. Tom was an executive, high functioning, probably ADHD. I mean, who isn't these days, really? Super driven, super ambitious. And he had a job where he had to sit in a chair all day. He wasn't quite at the top yet. He had board meetings, he had lots of driving. So he told himself he had to sit in a chair all day. He was sitting in a chair sometimes for 16 to 18 hours a day, whether it was the car or whether it was his office. And he was wondering why his back was not getting better. Now, dear listener, what would you have advised dear Tom? I hear you all saying, Tom, you need to stop sitting so long. Correct, correct, correct. Tom, you need to stop sitting so long. Tom's back was just trying to say, Tom, what's with the sitting? We can't do this. It's not healthy. It's not good for us. I'm going to hurt you so that you find a different way. When Tom got a really jack of the sitting, he took time off. So he went from sitting to doing no sitting, 2 weeks. He thought, great, that'll fix it. I'll go to Hawaii. I'll have a vacation. I'll swim. I'll surf. I'll do all the fun stuff. I'll still work, but I can stand up and do a bit, and then I'll do lots of movement and lots of playing. Okay, great. Great choice, Tom. Guess what? Tom's back felt 10 times better. So confirmation, right? Change something, back responds, we have confirmation. What do you think happens when Tom goes back to work? Again, I hear you all saying pain came back. Wow, you guys are good. You should come work for me. Yes, pain came back. So what did Tom do? Tom came back and bitched and moaned and whinged about his back pain. Why am I laughing? I'm laughing because it's so fucking stupid. It's so obvious what he needs to do. The question is, why doesn't he do it? And that is the $1,000,000 question, which keeps someone in pain or allows them to move through it. In Tom's head, he made a decision that operating on the status quo was going to be easier than making some changes. He basically, the pain of change or the pain of mixing up some of his work schedules, having those conversations with his work colleagues, perhaps being perceived as having something wrong with him, was just too hard. The physical pain was easier to live with, mainly because he could take a pill and distract from it and keep doing all these things that for him was easier than to just say to his teammates or his colleagues, I gave him all these ideas, standing desk, meetings where you do walking meetings rather than sitting at a desk. And I remember him saying, no one will go for that. I was like, well, have you even tried? I bet there's probably a few other of your colleagues that have got shitty backs as well, and they'll think you're a groundbreaker for suggesting a walking meeting rather than a sitting in a coffee meeting. I suggested that he could why all the driving? Get online and do some of your chats from a standing office desk rather than having to drive 3 hours and back. I suggested he pay someone to drive him so that he can lay in the back of the seat and do some of his exercises while he's on the way down. I suggested a hanging rack right beside his chair so that he could go from compression to distraction at least every few hours, whack in a chin-up bar, do some inverted inclines, do whatever he needed to do to offset. So he had choices, is what I'm saying, but he didn't take them. And he was very honest in understanding the simplicity and yet the complexity of those few simple choices. And he made a conscious decision that, you know, upsetting the status quo in the boardroom was not something he was prepared to do just yet. And, I think we all do get to make those choices for ourselves, but I really struggle when what we value is higher than valuing our own health. I guess the bit Tom truly doesn't get is that he only gets a few chances with his back. Careers are always going to be there. Backs, you get one for life. And if you don't look after it and you treat it like shit and you abuse it, then if I'm your back, I possibly would say enough's enough and blow out on you. So choices, courageous choices are at the root of most people staying in back pain. Second example I'll give you is about another male client of mine who was in a relationship that just wasn't working for him. Kids involved, really tricky. We've all been there. Nobody wants to break up a family unit. It's the most hardest decision ever to be the person in the relationship who calls quits on it. No one ever thanks you for it. It takes immense courage. And yet sometimes it needs to happen. Let's face it, some relationships are toxic, dysfunctional for all involved. And someone has to have the balls to say enough. And so this guy wanted to, but didn't feel he could. Didn't feel he could because of financial pressure. So every part of him knew what he wanted to do. And then his ego mind said, no, we're not doing that. So he was in this split energy. Heart wanted to leave. Head said, you must stay. Split energy. Ugh, ugh. The worst form. The worst human experience to be in is when your energy is split. It's like an internal warfare going on. So because of his inability to make a courageous decision for himself, he stayed in the pain probably 3 years. And we would have chats in that time. And he would say, I know what you're going to say. I'm not ready yet to make that decision. And I'd say, okay. So we were in a holding pattern with his back, soothing what we could, doing the best we could to love his spine in a situation that he felt trapped in. Human mind is amazing at making us feel trapped. One day, he found the courage. Interestingly, it was at a time when his back pain was at its most painful. He was admitted to hospital. He was just in agony with his spine. In that high pain state, something in him broke open. And he just basically told his wife it was time and he was leaving. About a month later, I don't think I've ever seen a happier man. He came bounding in. He said he didn't need to be here. Just popped in to update me. Love it. I've never seen someone happier. And 4 weeks ago, he was in hospital with the worst back pain of his life. And it was in that moment he just knew. He just knew this was as bad as it was going to get for him. And if it was going to happen, it was on him. And he had those courageous conversations. He liberated himself from a situation that was not working for him. What I think he doesn't realize is he also liberated his partner and his kids from a dynamic that wasn't working. And no one will thank him for it. But we have to trust that what's good for us is ultimately best for all of those that we love. And so one took the decision, one didn't. One's still in pain, one isn't. You know, it just reinforces to me that if we don't act as our own advocates, make our own choices that serve us to our highest state, our body will let us know that it's not happy. And I'm not saying we have to take action on all those choices in every moment at the first sign of distress. But we are talking here about chronic, persistent back pain. Everybody in that pain state has something that they would like to do, but they are not allowing themselves to do. And that's the rub. So my invitation to you is to simply sit with this question. Where am I not allowing myself to do what I know with every fiber of my being I need to do? There'll be some discomfort involved for sure. But on the other side of that, there will be a new measure of freedom that will free your body from what it's holding, that will help at least take a few layers of this pain situation and diffuse it a little, maybe a lot. That's my encouragement to you today. Work out where you're not free and find out how to free yourself, even a little bit. I hope that lands. I'm sure you'll tell me if it doesn't. I truly, 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 truly want you to know that your experience of life is yours. No one can do it for you. And yes, every choice you make affects those around you. But you have to trust that what is best for you is best for those around you. Maybe not in the moment, maybe down track. But we have ripple effects. Our choices affect everyone. If we make ourselves happier, if we take ourselves out of pain, we are really helping many, many others around us. So sometimes it's not even about you. You may find the courage to make those choices because you want to be a great role model to others. I don't know. Whatever's got to get you there. I certainly remember having a dear friend say to me when I was considering ending my marriage. I had been in that split energy for 2 years and my mind had me trapped. And I had a dear friend say to me, "What would you tell your daughter if she found herself in this same situation?" And within a second, I knew. I knew exactly what I had to do. Like that. The clarity which came by putting myself in the situation of my daughter was so powerful. It was so easy. And this is, I guess, the power of a question from someone who loves you or someone who knows you can help you perceive things from a whole new light. And that is part of what I hope and what I try and what I do achieve with so many of my back pain clients. A reframe, a new lens, a fresh perspective, which softens the experience of it. And that's what we need sometimes. And there's no book that really, apart from my book, that might help you do that. I hope soon you don't need these videos. I hope soon that I'm a long lost channel on your YouTube that doesn't get a look in because you don't need me anymore. That would be lovely. Before you go, before you're off, before you're thriving, just share the channel with someone you know so that we may all ultimately free ourselves of situations we don't need to be in. Amen. Alleluia. Ciao for now.